Okay, what are we doing?
We are creating a property podcast,
Yeah.
but a good one, full of free information and help for everyone out there.
So, my name's Jaryd,
My name's Sam.
and we've been best mates for how long?
15? No, 20.
No.
You're 35.
So
man.
we probably met in 2000. We started high school together in 2000.
Yeah, but we were mates before that.
So you met my brother in 1998 or something maybe.
Yeah, well, I was playing basketball.
So it's like 2 years before high school.
Yeah, well, we were probably mates for 2 years before high school.
Okay, so we've got 2000 to 2023 now, so that's 23 years. So basically 25 years we've known each other.
There we go. We'll run with that.
All right, 25 years.
We've been friends for 25 years.
Yeah.
We want to let you know this.
Yeah. And I think it's important for everybody to know because we've spent so much time together. Literally we surf basically every weekend.
Yeah.
And we have been since my dad used to pick you up and other mates and take us surfing every weekend
Every weekend.
when we were kids.
We travel the world together.
Yeah, we've traveled probably at least 15 countries together
Yeah.
and lived overseas.
We did a whole year together.
Yeah.
America and Mexico.
So we've done a lot of traveling. We've seen each other evolve through our lives, through partners, through now that you've got a family,
Health, relationships, and wealth.
Yeah, and certainly wealth. And that's what we're going to talk about. And that's why we've been toying with this idea of talking about property investing for so long. You've got a couple of properties. I've got a couple of properties. And Sam, you basically started this journey way before me in property. I started in business quite early, and we're going to talk a lot about our backgrounds as these podcasts evolve. But I think we should sort of state our intentions of why I'm here and why you're here and what we want to kind of get out of it, and then also how that's going to be how everybody's going to get value from this podcast.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for you to share your background in property because I'm a student. I'm doing this to be a complete student. I call up Sam, oh, what about this? How should I do this? How should I structure my property portfolio? How should I make more money? How should I bargain with banks? What's the process and the journey? And literally so many people come to me and ask me just in my personal life outside of business, all right, Jaryd, I want to start buying property as well. And they ask me what should I learn? And I'm read these books, go see Sam. So I'm a complete student. I've only got 2 properties. I've only just recently started investing in property, and I'm here to basically just ask you so much.
Grow together.
So tell us about how did you start this property journey? Because I know a bit, but
yeah, well, I guess my journey started when you left school and you didn't know what to do with your life. And it was probably always interested me. My father was a real estate agent. My grandfather was also a real estate agent, and they owned property. And that was never really in my psyche of selling real estate because there was always a bit of I thought I could do more and achieve more rather than just sell on that side.
Yeah.
So that got me into going down the development path, and I ended up studying a degree at Queensland University of Technology, which is a Bachelor of Property Economics, to sort of keep that nice and simple. So once I left that, I got into the development space.
So when did you start? I just want to when did you start? When did you start that degree? Was that straight after school?
Oh, yeah.
So 2005 or
2006 is
2006.
when I started that.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And yeah, so that's probably the start of my journey on that front.
Yeah.
Once I finished the degree, I ended up getting into finance because obviously the GFC was pretty hard to find work in property in 2009 when I finished. I actually took a year off, and that's when we travelled around the world together.
Yeah.
So that was probably a very pivotal moment in my life as well, when you stop thinking about money and you're thinking about lifestyle as well, because tomorrow's not guaranteed for anyone.
Yeah.
And then also understanding how people live in this world and how little we actually need to have a really fulfilled and content life. So when I came back, I was more interested in lifestyle and understanding how to maximize, your income essentially to create a more freedom-based lifestyle. So I got into financial planning because obviously the development space and the financial planning space.
I forgot you did financial planning.
Yeah, so I ended up working with one of the big four banks as a financial planner. I worked my way up in the business, and
I laugh because you hated that job.
This is where we have this conversation where like my father has been a very pivotal person in my life, because I said to him, I was like, mate, I hate this job. I hate getting up. I hate sitting on a train.
Didn't you like come home one day like just not in a good space?
Oh, I cried for sure, because you spend your whole life, like your adult life, you go to university, you get a good job, you do what you're told to do, and then you get there and you realize how unsatisfying and unfulfilled you are as a human. So I ended up just quitting then and there without another job to go to, just for my mental health.
Good. Mental health first.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in that finance industry. Yeah. And people they're all in it for themselves at the end of the day, and it's just a moral obligation that I had with clients. I just couldn't do that. Anyway, so I shifted, and had some friends that worked in property valuation. So I ended up networking my way into a large property valuation firm.
Did you have to study? I'm pretty sure I remember you went back and did some extra study for property.
I'm always studying.
Yeah. This is why he's the guru.
Not a yeah. I guess it's always
modest, though.
At that stage in life, like I guess imposter syndrome kicks in. But after 15 years of working in the industry, things are second nature. And just like anybody, if you were to be a plumber, then I don't know how to plumb, right? So I get a plumber to help me out. But
just for everybody, I used to be a plumber.
But yeah, I got into valuation. So valuations, it's a very interesting profession. So you need to not only do a certain degree, which my degree of property economics fit that mold.
Yeah.
Then you have to go and be an assistant for 2 years full time and work under all the senior valuers and my director. And then I sit in front of a board, and basically I have to do 4 long form reports between residential, commercial, mixed use, and retail. And from that, they judge my reports and see, well, are you suitable? And that's one board of members that judge you.
Yeah.
That's the valuation.
Are we allowed to drop names as well, like who you work for?
Yeah. Taylor Byrne was the first firm. They got bought out by Landmark White a few years back. And then, Heron Todd White is the large firm that I ended up working with. So I've networked my way into that. And then, it's been a bit of a journey, but you're just that constant seeking growth and career satisfaction. And that's what, I guess, leads me into that next stage of my life, where I've been learning so much about property, and I see people every single day when I was valuing making really simple but expensive mistakes. So a part of me was like, if I could teach people how to not make these simple mistakes, it would save them hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of their property journey. And then the big buyer's agent space came into...
Yeah, went bananas in the last 6 years, maybe?
Yeah.
6 years?
So it's been around, it was probably like 2000 was when it really started. Those were the pioneers on that front. But it was a lot of that buyer's agent space originated out of sales agents just seeking properties for people. But then there's a conflict of interest there, because the sales agent, it's in their best interest for their client who's paying their commission to get the highest sale price. So when they're bringing buyers to that transaction, the buyer has, like the trust is there because, you've bought me this, you showed me this property and it's exactly what I'm looking for. And then it comes down to the negotiation and price, and that's when people are getting fleeced. I've jumped into that realm of helping people buy a property, and I do that as a full-time career now and around Australia. So I specialise on that space.
Actually, I think there was a step that a portion of your career that you may have missed, like So I just want people to know like how good Sam is, because I know, like, I come to Sam with a question, he just knows it, and so he's helped so many people, so many friends. Like, he just flies under the radar. He's like he's like the enigma in the property like space between our friends. Like, I'm not kidding. He's helped so many people.
Thanks, man.
Haven't you?
Yeah. Well, it gives me satisfaction too.
Yes. And so there was a step there that I think that you may have missed, and you went from property evaluation. Well, I think it's important to like break apart what you were doing when you were valuing properties, because you were doing at the start, you were doing a lot of properties, and then you realized, hang on a second, I'm making good money, but I'm also about lifestyle. And I remember, like, and that's why we started this. We're starting this as well, because like we're big on helping people make money, but that's not that's the byproduct of what I think the actual goal should be for people building a property portfolio. This is my personal opinion, but I think the actual goal should be lifestyle and having more time with friends and family. You've got a young family now. I'm huge on my time. You know, I do like 20 hours a week in my business, and that's because I wanted to chase lifestyle over money. We make good money. Both of us make good money, but we're more about lifestyle. And I think the lifestyle is that like the real asset that you want to chase, because then it makes you better in having the capacity to make better decisions in life because you've got more space, right?
Yeah, time is the most valuable resource.
Yeah. And so I'm coming back to, I wanted to tie in a few things of like why we are doing this podcast, because I'm going to learn as a student. Sam's going to teach us a lot, and you might learn a little bit from my mistakes as we go through this.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah. And I think it's not just about making money, which is great, but more so the lifestyle. And you learnt that through, I feel, that step that you did when you changed from valuating, because you were working like, I remember like we would go for a surf in the morning, and then you'd start work at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then you would just drive to a few jobs, and then you'd clock off, or like you had a good lifestyle, but you were raking in some cash as well, right?
Yeah, making good money on that front, and lifestyle was great. However, you know, there's always that burning desire to be the captain of your own ship.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, being required to be in certain places at certain times. It was good, but then it's just that natural evolution of us as a species, right? We're always striving for something more, and when you see that you have a ability to help people, and you can obviously earn good money for yourself and for others. That's what led me into the space that I am in today, and it's a lot more rewarding. It's a lot more challenging, and that space of the buyer's agent is growing quite fast. And there's a concern of mine as well. Is there's a lot of, it's in buyer's agents' best interest to buy you a property, and often their commission or their remuneration is based on the purchase price of the property. So there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in that sense, which I guess I also want to try and educate people, because you don't know who you're getting in bed with in anything in life until you've sort of committed that stage. And I'm here working in industry, and I know some really, really great people who are doing amazing things, and I also know some people who are, you just want to stay away from. So
that's really, really interesting. I think we'll have to break down in another episode selection of a buyer's agent and some things to look for when you're doing your due diligence. I teach people due diligence in business, and I think there's a lot that I learned from business into property, and knowing your due diligence on how to like choose a buyer's agent would be helpful. There's also another step before you got to where you're at now, because right now you do coaching for buyer's agents basically, and before that Sam has missed out a step that is pretty critical. He worked for was it a large buyer's agency firm?
Yeah, well, I went and worked for, I'll just keep the names out of it, and I also keep sort of my business out of it as well. I'm here to educate people, not to sort of generate that income from that front. But yeah, they were one of the largest buyer's agents in Australia. We were doing, on average, like we're buying at least 10 to 12 properties a week.
Yeah, wow.
One week I think we bought 15, and then on that.
So that's what 15 properties might be what, like 5 to 10 mil a property, or?
Yeah, so the average purchase price was probably running around 500 grand for investors at that stage.
Okay.
But like from a revenue basis, you're looking at about 150 grand a week. So it was good money
for that business.
Yeah. And look, we were doing really great things in that sense, but Yeah, I won't get into the weeds.
You were basically running, like you went in there as a property evaluator, but you were basically running the team.
Yeah, right? I grew up, well, with my education and knowledge, I grew out the analysis side. So that's sort of where I've niched into at the moment, is just with my evaluation background, is growing those teams of people through obviously my training and my experience. Not everyone has that time to spend basically 6 years trying to become a valuer.
Yeah.
Right. And then the skill sets that you pick up over that time, it was great for me to obviously help people and grow that team around me. And then another side of it is, as an investor myself, you see things that from a long-term growth perspective, it's just asset selection is key. So there's multiple elements, and we'll break these down in this podcast too, where it's not just saving for your deposit, which is key. So that's my sort of financial planning background, which is how to really maximize your income to save as much as you can, which will then help your money work for you, so you don't have to work for the money. That's the whole goal here. And obviously Jaryd's a fantastic proponent of that with what he does with his businesses as well. So he says he works 20 hours a week, and he does, and he's got a lovely lifestyle. So why not share it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's, like, you can see Sam's got so much like property advice just oozing out of him. Like, it's like there's so many things. I've just heard probably like 20 different podcasts that we can break into different episodes just through you talking. And I think we should start from the top. Like, I teach what we call leaky bucket syndrome to help, because I have to help. What I do is I help people have a better lifestyle. That's our goal in our business, and that's through making income. And the first thing you need to fix is like making sure you got your own personal finances sorted. So I think that's a good thing that we can break down in probably maybe the next episode. But we would love to hear from you guys as well in terms of what you do want us to speak to, because you guys are our listeners and we want to give you what you want. So we'll drop you a link in the show notes, and you can contact us and email us. But
so what to look forward to, I'd say, is, look, we're going to teach you how to save for your deposit. We're going to teach you, where to find the best people to maximize your borrowing capacity, so what you can purchase, and then how to structure those so you can sort of maximize that cash flow, whether it is an investment or an occupier. We look further into, it's not just, you need a strategy going into it. You don't just get a mortgage pre-approval and just go shooting in the sky, right? Like, you got to have a target to work towards it. So it's looking at what is it that you want and what fits within your strategy, then going into, well, what are these locations around Australia that are actually showing those good signs of growth? Because there's opportunity cost that's involved. And what I mean by that is, if you invest your $500,000 somewhere and it grows at 5%, if you invest in another, like if you would have invested,
you could invest in another location
at a 7% growth rate, that's a 2% growth rate per annum, and that compounds quite dramatically. So a 7.2% compounding growth rate over a 10-year period, that doubles your asset value.
Wow!
So that's
doubles it.
Yeah. So that's what obviously we're going to try and target, but finding those growth locations is key, and then that doesn't stop there. It goes into asset selection, and that's where I like to my skill set really hones in on. You can find the best local government area or suburb based on data, but if you're picking the pig asset in that location, it's going to underperform, and that's going to stop you from your future growth, which you can draw down on that equity to either purchase more properties or create your own lifestyle. So there's that component of it as well, and then you get into how to analyze, how to negotiate on properties. There's so much here.
So much. I had this conversation in the last 2 weeks, I've had this conversation on opportunity costs in property. One with somebody in my family, not my immediate family, like extended family. And I'll tell that story in a second because I think it's valuable to know. But also somebody else that is a friend that has one property. And it's funny to see that somebody can have one property and they may have owned it for 5 years or 10 years and they don't know how much equity they've got, and they don't understand the opportunity cost of them holding that asset and knowing what they could do if they either, not saying you need to sell, but if it was an option to sell and reinvest in another location, and or keep it and then take some equity out, and the opportunity cost of keeping that equity in the property versus investing that equity in somewhere else and making that money work for you. So that was one friend that I talked to, but the person in my family, and it was just on Monday that I was talking about this. I know it was Tuesday, and so that's 3 days ago, and talking about like somebody has a property, it's worth about $2 million in a location in Australia, and they're at an age where they're able to retire, or they're going to be retiring very soon. And I asked the person, how much do you rent that property out for? And it was around like $800, $900 a week. And I thought, okay, $2 million property that you own. What, like, I'm thinking about just where I live in Palm Beach. If you went and bought just a $2 million property in Palm Beach, you could probably go away and rent that out for close to, at the time of recording, close to like $1,500, $1,600 a week in rent for a 4-bedroom home, and you would basically double your rental income. And it's just by understanding being in the right location at the right time and having the opportunity costs. So there's like I like to be a bit scientific around it, and I come to Sam with all these questions, and
yeah, good question.
He actually ends up just talking to me for like half an hour on the phone about property, and we're like, fuck, why didn't we just record this? And like,
so here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Biggest thing I say to people, and it just happens like probably at least once a week, is you don't know what you don't know, and no one expects you to either. And obviously, another thing that I find in this world is that there's so much information out there. It's information overload, and people are struggling to know who to trust. So like from where I'm sitting, there's no product that we're pushing here. I mean, yes, I work in that space of helping people buy properties, but we're a very niche business, and it's not for everyone. It's only for a select group of people who are looking for a certain type. So a lot of that coaching and I guess knowledge that we have, I want to put that forward, and I want to help people grow. And obviously, any questions that come out, that's obviously what we're here for. We want to create a community of people who want to succeed and do well. And I guess that's the selfish side, is that we both get enjoyment out of other people. So
we love it. And like the cool thing is that now that when friends either ask you or when I'm talking to somebody about property, we're like, here's the episode that you can just go and listen to. We don't it's cool because we love chatting about it on the phone to people and in person, but we can refer people to a resource, and this is a resource for everyone. So that's our primary focus. And like you said, you're happy to keep the coaching out of it, not trying to plug anything that I do as well. So yeah, it's just we're excited to share what I've learned as a student and what as a mentor. So
yeah, it's all like I'm trying to keep it evergreen as well. So it's something that you can not only help yourselves with, but help your own family and own friends. And obviously, there's going to be people that it's not their interest, but they can see value in what we're saying. And obviously, a big part of what I was saying earlier is that I know the people that can help most situations when it comes to property, and then Jaryd knows a lot of people in the business space as well. And it's just like a big thing a mentor of mine taught me, which was learn, do, teach, share, grow. And Jaryd finally has the same philosophy. There's too many synergies, and I just feel like this is a really good vibe that we're dealing with here, and it'd be great to sort of help people and obviously grow with the community as we go.
Yeah. So guys, thanks for tuning in. And I noticed that through this, like, we basically just told you why you should listen to us. Well, not so much us, mainly Sam, but learn from my failures. But also there was a few little things that we shared about, like, financing and how, the buyer's agent industry. So there was some definitely value in this episode, but the future episodes are going to be very specific about specific topics that you're going to not want to miss out on. So I'm excited to share a lot of that stuff, and that's all I have to say in the parting of this episode. What about you?
I guess the whole purpose of this one episode, whilst I jumped around a little bit, is just to get for you to understand like who we are as humans, right? To know, like, and trust someone. That's the whole idea here. We're pretty original. We've got the surfboard in the background. We're in Palm Beach at the moment. We have a lovely lifestyle and great families, and Like, it's something that I feel like people are getting lost in the weeds between all the social media bullshit that's out there.
Yeah,
So
correct. Well, and I think that's really cool, is because we're gonna, like, I got goosebumps. I'm so excited. We're gonna share so much of our lives, because like, we grew up together. Our sisters went to the same school. They're still friends as well. You're friends with my brother. They played basketball for a long time, played for a little bit, but we're going to share a lot of our lives. We're just going to be so real, so raw. Probably going to talk about some friends. We're not going to be naming names or anything like that, but we'll probably talk about some situations that we've, spoken to about people in property, and what we've done in our life. Like, we've done some cool things that I think we've learnt from through our travels that is going to be related to property investing as well. So, yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. See you soon.
See ya. Bye.